Let's see what political commentator Peter Spencer makes of it as well. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning to you both.
Good morning. What do you make of this situation? Is it a lot of fuss about nothing?
Well, I mean, there is a whiff of Watergate about this in that it wasn't the original break-in, it was the attempt at a cover-up which did for the president in question. Now, when it comes to Rishi Sunak's perspective on his Home Secretary, it is noted how grumpy he was when asked about when he was abroad doing his world statesman thing, and you can see why he wanted to generate headlines about himself, and then suddenly the whole thing skewed elsewhere. I mean, in my own judgment, I think he would like to see Suella Braverman gone. And the reason I say that is that she is, and has been for a long time, the darling of the right of the party. He brought her in, it is widely thought, into the cabinet, back into the cabinet, on the grounds of the Lyndon Johnson principle, which it is better to have dangerous elements inside the tent, as it were, answering the call of nature, out than the other way round. Now, scroll back to the early last week when Suella Braverman made a speech to an alternative Tory conference at which she flatly contradicted government policy on legal migration. Later on, of course, Sunak said, look, you know, actually, she might say that we should train our own fruit pickers, but what she said was, what he said was, look, we welcome them. And then when it comes to slashing legal migration, well, the Chancellor said, well, actually, look, we've got to be pragmatic and sensible. In other words, if we need to fill gaps in the labour market, we bring in migrants. And then to top it all came the Education Secretary, who said, look, you know, we will welcome more overseas students because they bring in the money and they raise our prestige. And so, to my mind, politically, Suella Braverman has absolutely blotted her political copybook. And for Sunak to find some excuse to be rid of her, he will be roaring from the rooftops in joy.
But, Peter, if he did get rid of her, she would be a dangerous enemy on the backbenches, because she's got a lot of support on the backbenches. A lot of backbenchers think she's been unable to do her job on migration because the lever she tries to pull, the Prime Minister keeps ripping out of her hands, as does the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's my point about the Lyndon Johnson thing is, of course, she would be dangerous on the outside. But I do come back to the speech that she made last week, which is widely seen as her pitch for Sunak's job. And it's OK to have a conversation like that, maybe if the Tories lose the next election, you then work out what is the direction of the Conservative Party, where is its soul. But to have it when poor Rishi Sunak's barely got his feet under the table at number 10 is struck a great many Tory MPs, I have to say, as more than a bit rich.
But what would it tell us about him as a leader if he gets rid of her for this? Because a lot of the things that she is saying around immigration are extremely popular with the voting public.
Yeah, I mean, what would it say? Well, I come back to it. I mean, what she is a visible personification of the monumental chasm within the Conservative Party. I mean, most certainly, you look at those 45 constituencies, the so-called Red Wall, who very clearly are deeply opposed to more migration in any shape or form. But then you've also got to look at what is now being characterised as the Blue Wall, which is more liberal-minded Conservative voters from the home counties, who find that a lot of, for example, Suella Braverman's language, calling the boat people variously criminals and a swarm and an invasion and all the rest of it, that sticks in their craw. And when the next election comes, what Sunak does not wish to see is a whole load of them, perhaps millions of them, peeling off and either backing the Liberal Democrats or voting tactically to ensure that the Tories don't get back in.